So long, my friends, I'll see you again. It pains me to be here without Lynn. My time has come, mine so cumbersome, filled with whiskey, filled with sin, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town. So long, my folks, how the story goes. I can't look back from moving on. I'll take my time saying my goodbyes. I'm reminded of the times my father cried. I flew just like a borrowed moon, gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm's around. It's time to leave. It's time to leave this broken town. I'll take this road, however far it goes, and I'll drown my woes in every bar it holds. This bitter end left a bitter man. My sweetness left last summer's end. I flew just like a borrowed leaf, gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave. Time to leave. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. My heart, pumping all day long. Get me to morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My always strapped with these things that I call my own. Life, it isn't always grand, but when you finally take that stand, you become a man. You needed to You meant everything to me. While you left, I could not see. I guess people just do what they want. Yeah. Time, it goes faster every day, and my heart, it leads the way, while the future, it fades into a memory. Is always at my back. My back is always strapped with these things that I call my own.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Cywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldiers. and at the same time is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the Psy-War soldiers.
Caught Up is an echo chamber for content creators. Almost all content on this show, Caught Up, is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists whom I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets whom I believe to be the best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information they allow us to have. These individuals who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me, to make the best choice for me, in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. Mainstream media would have you believe that an echo chamber promotes the spread of misleading information or fake news, thereby reinforcing one's confirmation bias. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you will turn off mainstream media, whom I believe is just another version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Caught Up.
Hello, guys, and welcome to Caught Up. It's episode 47. Gotta make sure my technology's all on the same page. Hang on. Hello. All right, we are 47, episode 47. Kind of weird because it's 47 episodes I've done this year. Doing 2 a week, and it also could be the number of the next president. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. You guys be the judge of that. But tonight, I want to go over a couple things. The show's title is The Coming Trump Revenge Tour. It's an article by Political and by a gentleman by the name of Ankush Karhadori, if I said that correctly. And I got it from Burning Bright and Just Human on their show, Defected. It comes on Sunday nights. And I don't know if they dove into it as deep as I thought they might have, but they shared the article, and it just intrigued me because what it's done is it's this gentleman who is a political magazine and former federal prosecutor at the Department of Justice. Where he specialized in financial fraud and white-collar crime. He also worked in the private sector on complex commercial litigation and white-collar corporate defense. His column, Rules of Law, offers an unvarnished look at national legal affairs and the political dimensions of law at a moment when the two are intrasibly linked. And remember, I have an East Tennessee public education, so sometimes words don't always work. But anyway, this guy goes into great detail about Trump's revenge tour, and just exactly how he's going to do it, to the players that he's going to do it to, and all of it. but it's happened in real time already. This playbook is exactly what Biden used, and they're trying to spin the narrative as it to be a Trump tour. Obviously, Trump has said that when he comes back, he's draining the swamp. We heard it the first time. Remember, he arrest Hillary, all those things, and that didn't happen. And maybe for a reason, I don't know. Time will tell. But if reelected, you got Politico, who's basically a left-leaning article, and they're really hammering down on it. So it says, in the most volatile presidential campaign in the last 50 years, one thing has remained remarkably constant. Donald Trump stated intentions to prosecute a wide swath of his opponents if he wins the White House. The list of the targets has been growing for years, and it includes an array of Trump's political and legal antagonists, real or perceived, ranging from President Joe Biden, if you believe him to be president, Representative Nancy Pelosi, Anthony Fauci, and the members of the January 6th committee, and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Just a few weeks ago, Trump put hundreds, maybe thousands, more of his political opponents in his prosecutorial crosshairs by threatening unnamed Democrat lawyers, political operatives, donors, voters, and election officials. Interesting. Trump has talked about his plan for a prosecutorial revenge tour in public speeches, press interviews, and a litany of social media posts. It is subtle embedded in an official Republican Party platform, which proposes to hold accountable those who have misused the power of government to unjustly prosecute their political opponent. Now, guys, I don't necessarily always read a whole article like this. I haven't done it in a long time. I usually take some pictures, grab a video of it or something like that, and carry on with it. But this article is interesting enough that it was due its whole read because, or at least most of it, right? Because they give it away. They absolutely give it away. It says the Republican Party platform, which proposes to hold accountable those who have misused the power of government to unjustly prosecute their political opponent. Here, there we go. Why don't you guys see that right there? See that? Of course, Trump promises many things that never come to fruition. Why don't you guys see? Some proponent Trump allies and ardent supporters dismiss his comments or perhaps just rationalize them as political rhetoric. And he ran on, I'm going to lock her up with Hillary and didn't do shit, says Mike Davis, a hardline Republican lawyer who frequently appears in the media criticizing prosecutors who have brought criminal cases against Trump. How weird. I would love to be a special counsel or a viceroy and exact painful retribution on all these motherfuckers because I think retribution is a key part of justice, he told me. But it's just not possible given the bureaucratic, and procedural obstacles that would arise. As for his own public comments listing assorted targets of a second Trump Justice Department, Davis explained, obviously I'm trolling, but I'm doing it to make a point. It's just not possible, right? He says he would like exact painful retribution on all these motherfuckers, right? I agree, man. Trump's political opponents and some of the country's most experienced federal law enforcement officials are taking the matter gravely seriously. All you have to do is listen to the former president himself, a former top Justice Department official who was granted anonymity to discuss Trump's interest in prosecuting his legal and political adversaries, recently told me he has come right out and said that he wants to do. And he was obviously very frustrated during the last administration when he wasn't able to have as much influence in that area as he wanted. Andrew McCabe, the former acting FBI director during the Trump administration, told me that he believes Trump absolutely will follow through on his threats. It is one of the things that actually matters to him, McCabe, known knows from experience. His life was turned upside down after he became a target of Trump's baseless attacks and was threatened with indictment by Trump's Justice Department over statements that he made to internal investigators about his disclosures to the press. So this guy leaked some information, and Trump told him that he would indict him, and so it turned his life upside down. When you're in a position to keep your mouth shut about information that you have, well, then maybe you shouldn't be out there leaking it, right? A lot has also changed since Trump was last in power, both for Trump and the president itself, that make it more likely that he will pursue his enemies and easier for him to direct the Justice Department to do so. What does that sound like? Direct the Justice Department to do so. What's Joey's Justice Department been doing ever since they gave him or placed him in Washington, D.C.? He's been directing them. That's what he's been doing. Trump has been through the legal ringer in the last year and a half and will want payback. Now, here's the funny part. He's a convicted criminal and still faces trial that could send him to prison. And he's not likely to forget all about that, even if the legal troubles essentially disappear once he reaches the White House. He could easily wreak havoc with many of his political opponents' lives simply by subjecting them to long, costly, and highly disruptive criminal investigations and prosecutions. So when Trump was elected from 2016 to 2020, I guess he was inaugurated on 2017, and then 2021. It seems like the Senate and the House wreaked havoc by simply subjecting him to long and costly and highly disruptive investigations to stop him from doing the things that the American people wanted. It's funny. If we read that again, he could easily wreak havoc with many of his political opponents' lives simply by subjecting them to long, costly, and highly disruptive criminal investigations and prosecutions. Pretty much what Trump's been going through. Basically, since he said he was running for president again for the 2024 election. Even if the effort failed to produce any real convictions, isn't that funny? Even if the effort failed to produce any real convictions, the process itself would be a form of punishment for the targets. It could also seriously erode public faith in the federal criminal justice system while chilling political opponents to Trump. I would have to ask you, do you have faith in the federal criminal justice system? How about state and local criminal justice system? How about the justice system as a whole? Do you have any faith in it? Have you been involved in any type of lawfare? Have you been involved in anything where they drag the process out further than what they have to? Longer than what's needed? They sort of push it along to a point where it becomes stressful and frustrating, or they find the shit out of you because they might think that you can afford to pay those fines, and depending on just exactly how you want to handle the circumstances, you will comply one form or another. All right, it says the enemies list. Unlike some past presidents who kept their enemies list a secret, Trump has no problem trumpeting his targets. I like that. Based on his own statements and social media posts, here is an unofficial and almost certainly incompetent list of people he has suggested that should face prosecution. Now, when we read this list, people, when we read this list, you tell me if these people should face prosecution, right? Joe Biden. Trump has often charged baselessly that Biden is corrupt and has taken bribes and kickbacks from foreign governments. Trump has also lashed out at the Biden administration's Justice Department for indicting him twice. He's vowed to appoint a special prosecutor to pursue Biden. Here we are. We know that Biden took bribes and kickbacks. It's not up for discussion. It's a fact. We know that Biden's administration, Justice Department, he's used it as a weapon against his political opponents. For example, take Trump out of the picture. Look at RFK Jr. How many times did that man ask for Secret Service because of the threats and everything else that was going on? The guy was running as a Democrat, then an independent, because he wasn't getting the help from the administration. And who is the administration that gives the help to candidates that are running for president? It would obviously come from the administration that is supposedly there. And so RFK Jr., he totally did something else, didn't he? And so Joe Biden will now be protected. Why will he be protected? Because he apparently is some sort of duly elected president, which I could argue that all day long that he's not. But for the sake of this article, let's just say that he might be. And because he is president, then he has presidential immunity on presidential acts. And how do we know that? Because the Supreme Court this summer made sure that those accusations that they were chasing Trump after to try to prosecute him for as non-presidential acts, they were all overturned for the most part to be presidential acts. That presidential acts that Trump did, I would think that most of the country that support him agreed with the actions that he took. The way that the Justice Department has come after him with all of their attorneys and their legal, just everything, where it keeps things tied up, it carries on for forever, is exactly what Biden has been doing that they're so worried about Trump coming back to do if he's elected. This article is acting as though when he is elected, we have less than 30 days, folks, before the election. Political, a left-leaning article who's acting as though he is going to win. And when he wins, this is what he's going to do. What is he going to do? I hope he holds them all accountable. Now, Biden, I said he'll have presidential immunity, because the things that he did will be considered presidential acts. And all the acts that were done before Trump by previous presidents that were illegal, like Obama's and the Clintons and the Bushes and many, many more, are also protected under the same act. But they try to make it appear as though the Supreme Court saved Trump's ass, when in reality, the Supreme Court saved all those other asses whose names I have already mentioned. Hunter Biden and Jim Biden, the son and the brother. Trump has claimed for years that the president's son, Hunter, and his brother engaged in corrupt foreign business dealings. After Trump's first federal indictment, he promised to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president of the history of the United States of America. Joe Biden and the entire Biden crime family. That is absolutely fact. Hunter was already convicted this year on gun possession and tax fraud charges brought by the Justice Department. Now, it's odd that they went after Hunter while his daddy was president, supposedly, but the FBI was doing their best to keep that stuff under wraps. When it says here that Trump claimed for years that the president's son, Hunter, and his brother, Jim, engaged in corrupt foreign business dealings, it is a fact. They had, private shell companies, money laundering, all these things, to the point that I think it was a special prosecutor who was put in place to investigate Joe Biden, who was approved to do so, not the same as Jack Smith. That's why Trump, they claim in this article, a real prosecutor, a real special prosecutor. Jack Smith is not a real special prosecutor. He was not approved to do so. They did some things that weren't exactly legal, I think is the right way to say that. But in the future, the Supreme Court is going to navigate through that and justify that as well. So that's why it says that. But anyway, these things actually happened. Hunter did exactly what this says. Jim Biden, the brother, did exactly what that says. You're going to find out that Jill Biden, the former babysitter and wife, is involved in this. It is a Biden crime family. And like we said, special prosecutor Hur said that he would not prosecute Biden after his presidency because why? He didn't think he could get a jury to convict him. Kamala Harris. Trump's antagonism toward the 24 opponent may be more than political if Harris wins the election in November. If Harris wins the election. Can you flippin' believe that? And things don't work out for Trump and his criminal cases in the years ahead, Trump could conceivably end up in federal prison. Trump recently circulated an artificial image of Harris and others in orange jumpsuit behind bars. And he said that Harris should be impeached, prosecuted, or both because of what she has done to our country and at the border. Again, everything that was said right there is absolutely fact. Trump's antagonism toward the 24 opponent may be more than political. First of all, his opponent isn't absolutely legal. She didn't get any of the votes to be the candidate to run for president. Not even in their special judiciary, whatever Nancy Pelosi tried to blow down the asses of the American public. No, that didn't happen. They placed Kamala Harris in there. Why? So y'all can see with me. Why did they place Kamala Harris in there? Because Joey lost the debate. Why did Joey lose the debate? Because Joey didn't run the narratives that they wanted him to. Why didn't Joey run the narratives that they wanted him to? Because Joey was pissed. Because he knows now that he's not really a duly elected president. It was all a stage. And he got mad. And so he didn't follow their agenda. But guess who did in the debate? Kamala Harris. Yeah. She didn't get one primary vote. As a matter of fact, in 2016, she didn't get 1% of the vote in the primary to run for president in the 22 candidate primary she was involved in. And so she goes from nothing to VP. And now, in this illegitimate presidency that we have at the moment, she's a fake vice president, and there's a fake president in there. So now we have a fake president, a fake candidate running for president, and a fake VP in Walls running. Let's not automatically crown them president and vice president because it's all illegitimate, which is why these things are being said. This article by Political is absolutely outlining what the Biden administration did to Trump. I think it's amazing. Hillary Clinton again. During the 2016 election, Trump said Clinton has got to go to jail because she used a private email server while working as Secretary of State. During the Obama administration, Trump tried to engineer her prosecution while in office, but was blocked by aides at the time. The AI-generated image Trump featuring her perceived enemies behind bars also included Clinton. Now, she did these things. She absolutely did these things. She used a server that wasn't for her job. She deleted it. She smashed her cell phone. And the Department of Justice and all those people that came after Trump did not go after Hillary. Why did they not go after Hillary? Because they're all in bed together. It's called a uniparty. It's called a deep state. And they were protecting each other. They were doing that. And there's more to that. Way more to that. To just the her doing this. But they didn't even... I know they came up with the committee to investigate, and they came up with everything in the world that they couldn't find a way to prosecute. But they can prosecute a president for doing the mandate of the people. And yes, I said that correctly. Trump did the things while he was in office that was mandated by we the people. Meaning, we want low inflation. We want low gas prices. We want reasonable grocery prices. We're not asking the farmers to kill themselves for nothing, but we don't want to pay $4.50 for 12 eggs. He did some things that was mandated by we the people, and that pissed off the deep state, uniparty, whoever made them mad. Made them mad. So here goes. The Supreme Court also fundamentally expanded the perimeters of the presidency with its ruling establishing sweeping criminal immunity for the president. As I said, the immunity was not for Donald Trump. The immunity was for Biden, Obama, Clinton, Hillary, Bush, Daddy Bush, not Reagan, maybe the guy before Reagan, the guy before that guy. There's a Carter and a Nixon and something else. Not JFK, but the motherfucker before him and the motherfucker before him and the motherfucker before him. This is what the Supreme Court did. If Trump wanted... Notably, the court also ruled that the president's control over the Justice Department is essentially unfettered. Is that not exactly what the Biden administration's got? Unfettered control over the Justice Department? If Trump wanted to privately direct his attorney general to pursue baseless prosecutions against his political enemies, he could. It also wouldn't have to be so flagrant. Pretty sure we've been living through some of that. Pretty sure. We've watched this so-called illegitimate administration in there do just exactly what this gentleman... And you know what? He worked for these people. He was part of this. The guy that wrote the article, which is why he understands and knows how the playbook is, and he can write an article to make it appear as though that the narrative is Trump, when we've been living this for the last 3.5 years, almost 4 years. We're just a few months, less than 30 days from the election, and then less than 2 months and a half from the inauguration. I would suggest that you all pay attention to the votes that go down ballot. Trump's got this by a landslide. He's probably got the popular vote and the electoral vote. So it's the votes all below him. The down ballot votes. They're working on that right now. They're trying to get all the Republicans and Democrats all on the same page, so that when Trump wins, they can just stonewall him for another 4 years. We have a better plan in place. Using the levers of both policy and personnel that either didn't exist last time he was in office or that he didn't think to use, Trump could weaponize the Justice Department in a novel and extraordinary ways. How about we do this? Using levers of both policy and personnel that either didn't exist last time he was in office as a vice president or that he didn't use, Biden could weaponize his Justice Department in novel and extraordinary ways, deploying pliant officials in the FBI and Justice Department and new proposals to make it easier for Biden to control the department's work and oust uncooperative career officials. We just replace Trump's name in certain places and put Biden's, and it just sounds just like what's been going on. That's not to say that Trump would always succeed in his drive for revenge. Has Biden succeeded completely in the last 3.5 years? I don't think so. As the first Trump administration showed, there are plenty of parts of the criminal process that cannot entirely be controlled within this country, even the president. Prosecutors can refuse to file charges. Where have we seen that shit before? In 2020, they burnt down what? Some of the biggest Democratic cities in the country. Antifa and Black Lives Matters, right? And what's that say? Prosecutors can refuse to file charges. Federal criminal statutes are broad, but they have limits. At least some facts are also needed to support criminal cases at the end of the day. And if the facts aren't there, grand juries and trial juries can't thwart prosecutors. As they did in several notable investigations and prosecutions that Trump helped instigate. I'm not really aware of any of the people that tried to burn down the courthouse in Seattle or the occupied area territory in Oregon, right? Or Minneapolis, or any of them other cities. No notable investigations or prosecutions. Hang on, guys. I gotta plug this thing in or the whole thing's going down. I should have thought of that first, huh? See, there is such thing as a redneck podcast. I'm probably king of that. Who forgets to plug in their laptop, right? Okay. Okay, so grand juries and trial juries can thwart prosecutors as they did in several notable investigations. Still, even scattershot efforts at the sort of political motivated prosecutions that Trump has contemplated would exact a serious toll on the targets and on the country, and here's how it could happen. They're not going to be people who stand in his way. The new lieutenants. Trump has often complained that his own top administration officials would not do his bidding. The shifting of the landscape. They better find new jobs if Trump is elected. Trump and his appointees could also implement policy changes that would make it even easier for him, his appointees, and his staff to exercise direct control over the Justice Department cases. Former Trump administration officials and allies have already called on Trump to use the controversial Schedule F proposal. Yeah, it's called you're fucking fired if you don't do your job. I don't understand why holding these people accountable, too big of a government, getting rid of people that that aren't doing their job, this, that, and the other, and Trump is wrong. Let's go on down to this one. The headwinds. The Supreme Court did not immunize the president's staff. So since they can't go after Trump, right, they're going to go after his staff. Right here's where it talks about. Trump would still face a variety of headwinds in this area, some of which presented themselves during his first term. For one thing, the list of targets far exceeds the list of readily apparent legal charges, a major problem for any prosecutorial effort, whether it's undertaken as part of a widespread political revenge campaign or not. Any case against Biden based on his own possession of classified documents, for instance, would be resuscitated in light of special counsel Robert Hur's report. And what did he say? He argued that a jury would probably not convict him. So as vice president, dumbass Biden took classified documents everywhere. He used his office as vice president as a way to benefit financially for him and his family. And the Obama administration turned a blind eye to it, all the while probably profiting from it as well. And Robert Hur said a grand jury would probably not convict him. So they're not going to charge him when he leaves office for the things that he did that they can charge a president for or vice president for or whoever for doing things illegally per when he takes the oath of office. So as a senator, Joe Biden did these things. As a vice president, Joe Biden did these things. Joe Biden was so arrogant that he thought he would become president to the point that he took notes all the time. What did he do with all his classified information? Went to Delaware, went to his home, went to other places. All these other places where these records ended up at, that Robert Hur and everybody found in that FBI investigation, had ties to who? Chinese and Russia. No prosecution. The dude committed treason. Should be hung on the lawn of the White House on public television for the whole world to see. And I'm only expressing what the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the legality of it all says we're supposed to, and the government gets too big. That's it. Biden's first, then it goes on down. It would make whoever's going to be president the next time really think about fucking the American people, about ignoring the mandate from the American people. Do you see my hat? We the people are pissed off. I was so happy to find that hat this weekend. I'm going to wear it as much as possible. People need to know that we are pissed off. You need to know that you have a voice. Whether you're on the right side of things or the wrong side of things, you have a voice. And that voice is stronger than the government. And for whatever reason, the government just thinks that they are bigger than the people. And when that happens, those documents are clear. The problem is you're afraid. You're afraid to hold them accountable for fear of what might happen to you. What do you think happened to the founders? Go back and do some history, research. Most of them put blood on the line. Most of them lost a lot of things. Some of them lost their lives. Yep. It's bound to happen. But to make sure that your children, your grandchildren, and the future for them, folks, we are not living in what's a real reality in our country because the reality is illegal. And if we could get back to the legality of it, the constitutional version of how this country is supposed to operate, man, politicians will do things differently. They won't be there for 50 years. We should not have a university in this country teaching political science as a career. You come out of school at 22, somehow get elected in some public office, work your way up into a Senate position in a House of Representative, and then president some years later, and we find out you've been a part of this process for 50 years, and you've never worked a day in the private sector, you've never worked with the public, you have no clue how it operates. None. What you have is some mystical idea. You're a fucking Peter Pan. It just doesn't exist. You're a unicorn. It doesn't exist. We are living in a reality that shouldn't exist. And we can change that if we can get people to wake up and stand for what's right. And don't be afraid. You're not the minority. You're the majority. If you believe you're part of the minority and you're conservative, shut the fucking TV off. Because that's exactly what's making you believe that. I'm just about done with this article. We'll get into some videos here in just a second, right? It says it's frightening and disturbing, the fallout, right? It's not accurate to say people sometimes do that Trump efforts to weaponize the law against his opponents have been unsuccessful to date. No, Hillary Clinton was not locked up. She was not. But it's hard to believe that prosecutors would have pursued Hunter Biden as aggressively as they have if Trump had not engaged in years of vocal and repeated attacks on the president's son. They found him guilty because he turned a laptop into a place. He may be part of this process. You understand that? Maybe he was pissed off at his dad. He had all that information on that laptop. All the money, all the transactions to every individual across the world. How he used Air Force Two, him and Uncle Jim, and where they went, and this, that. It was all on that laptop. All of it's on that laptop. He turns it over because he's trying to retrieve what? He signs his name. He admits to it. Politico? Give me a fucking break. Yeah, they didn't lock Hillary up, but they should. She did and she admitted it. Yeah, I deleted him. I'm sorry. Moreover, an even unsuccessful prosecutorial initiative like the one Trump has contemplated would exact a serious toll on the targets who are, lest we forget, actual human beings. Look how they come after Trump and his family since he decided to run for president and came down the escalator 9 years ago. He's the most investigated individual in the world. The FBI, CIA, all independent state agencies, whatever they could do to try to find, if you can find a crime, they will. Remember? I mean, that's there's a saying out there. There's a statement that says that. And they have yet to find that. So, it says the rhetoric is evocative and the concerns are justified. If Trump's first term is any guide, we must instead see something more akin to what legal and political philosophers sometimes describe as a rule of law. So if Trump's first term was a bull in a china shop, he exposed all three branches of government for all their faults and fakeality, right? And then this fourth branch that the governments have made to try to subdue the people. And then he exposed other things like the border, sex trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking, money laundering, not just in our country, all across the world. He rattled their cages. So then the next 4 years under this stupid-ass Biden administration, which is not legitimate, but was allowed to happen. And if you've watched any of these shows prior to, then you would understand what I'm saying. This was allowed to happen. The same way as they were allowed to fly go-karts with parachutes and dudes carrying AK-47s to a hippie fest in Israel on October 7th last year in the world's most protected border, because we, the people, taxpayers of the United States of America, and the military protect it to such a degree that those things just floated across the border, killed all those people, because it's allowed to happen. So Biden was allowed to happen. He was allowed to happen with a little bit of control. Not enough to do much of anything else, but a little bit of control. Enough to make sure that the American people feel the squeeze and the pinch of inflation, energy, groceries, everything economical within our country, immigration, yep, all those things. All that was allowed to be exposed under his administration and not Trump's, so that you would wake up. Now, once Trump gets into office, then it's the justice phase. We had the bull in the china shop in the first 4 years. Now we're in the exposure these last 4 years. And the next 4 years will be the justice phase. If things hold out to be true, if the Patriots really are in control, then we should see some real justification. In some ways, maybe some of these former presidents, they walk away, Pelosi walks away, this, that, and the other, but all the little low-level people that played a part in it, yep, they're probably going to play or pay some role. Do you realize there's still over 400,000 sealed indictments? It's amazing. It's amazing. This is not necessarily the widespread breakdown of the rule of law that some people fear in the worst case, authoritarian scenario, but is pernicious. See, they're trying to fuck with this redneck by putting words like that. Like, we got to go look up what the hell is pernicious, right? If anybody's out there, Pernicious, pernicious. I hope I said it right. Nonetheless, a form of a slow burn democratic erosion that can wreck people's lives and chill legitimate government opposition in ways that resemble the democratic backsliding in recent history in countries like Hungary. No, it's happened in this country. Fuck Hungary. Absolutely. Here we go, guys. This video is amazing. Explains a lot.
We face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method. Unhappily, the danger it poses promises to be of indefinite duration. To meet it successfully, there is call for not so much the emotional and transitory sacrifices of crisis, but rather those which enable us to carry forward steadily, surely, and without complaint, the burdens of a prolonged and complex struggle with liberty the stake.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations.
You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
In my former life, I was an insider as much as anybody else. Now I'm being punished for leaving the special club. and revealing to you the terrible things that are going on having to do with our country. There is nothing the political establishment will not do, no lie that they won't tell, to hold their prestige and power at your expense. That's what's been happening. Their financial resources are virtually unlimited. Their political resources are unlimited. Their media resources are unmatched. And most importantly, the depths of their immorality is absolutely unlimited. For them, it's a war. And for them, nothing at all is out of bounds. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. The corrupt establishment knows that we are a great threat to their criminal enterprise. They know that if we win, their power is gone, and it's returned to you, the people. Will be. The corrupt political establishment is a machine. It has no soul. I knew these false attacks would come. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. Our great civilization here in America and across the civilized world has come upon a moment of reckoning. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again. Our campaign represents a true existential threat. It's a movement the likes of which we have never in history, in this country, seen before. Never in history.
I'm a wartime president. It's a war. It's a war. Different kind of a war than we've ever had. I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy.
Our Independence Day is at hand.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The American populace is facing an unconventional warfare scenario. This is information warfare.
This is information warfare. I love that. That's a 955, I think. I think that's a 955. Yeah, love that right there. God does an amazing job. So I think I got one more video here real quick. Let me see.
I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war. Different kind of a war than we've ever.
Okay. enjoy this video. And then after this video, then I have a small basics of misinformation video. You're going to love it, man. It's by the 4th SIPES group. Actually, it's by U.S. Army JFK Special Warfare Center and School. And I think they do 6 videos altogether. And this one's a short one. We're going to play it after this video coming up. And then we're going to call the show, call it a night, right?
I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war. Different kind of a war than we've ever had.
Today, no war has been declared. And however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion.
Today, the Department of Defense has started the process of formalizing what we have long known, the fundamental role of U.S. Special Operations in defense and foreign policy by elevating Special Operations Forces to a level on par with military departments. We follow the vision of President John F. Kennedy, who predicted the rise of Special Operations nearly 60 years ago. He foresaw, quote, another type of war, new in its intensity, ancient in its origin, that would require a whole new kind of strategy, a wholly different kind of force, forces which are too unconventional to be called conventional forces, which are growing in number and importance and significance. The global demands for Special Operations Forces, then and now, has confirmed President Kennedy's foresight. And now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
This persecution is being done by the same weaponized agencies that for 7 years have been running illegal psychological warfare campaigns against the American people, much as if they were trying to destabilize a foreign country.
In the military, I started off my career as an air cavalry officer, flying helicopters, counter-reconnaissance, reconnaissance. Moved later into information warfare as an information operations officer, running psychological operations, computer network operations, deception, operation security, and electronic warfare, special electronic warfare. And I would tell you, as an unconventional warfare, information operations, information warfare specialist, the American populace is facing an unconventional warfare scenario.
President Trump is the commander-in-chief. It's undoubtedly the case, and he has pulled together all the military under the U.S. Space Force. All members of the U.S. Space Force are called guardians, no matter if you're a chief, master sergeant, or a cadet or a soldier, an officer. They are called guardians for a reason.
We have over 200 generals and admirals supporting us. They're going to switch over to paper ballots. It's all watermarked now. It's really incredible stuff what you can do with paper. Paper is actually high tech.
Watermark ballots in over 12 states have been part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation. And Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media censorship mongers, fake streaming media reporters, etc., are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over coming days, and will be living in barges off Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition.
Please allow me to say how proud I am of the almost 25,000 National Guardsmen who have come in from all 50 states and territories to help support the Secret Service and the police departments with a peaceful transition of military power.
In my first term, I disrupted all of it. Oh, did I disrupt? That was called major disruption. And in my second term, which we're sort of having now, but I don't want the results. Under the normal rules, I'll be out in 2024.
We are now in the phase, in my view, where the War Generals Coalition, this is a coalition of 200 active duty generals are at work, 34 nations. I don't know the list, I just know it's happening. He has put the US into war, active war. The US, United States, codes of court martial are in force. Military justice is in force. The Law of War Manual 2015, revised in July 23, is in force, and it is global. And it is a coalition of 34 nations that are now cooperating to bring down the cabal.
We're essentially fighting the entire globalist elite power structure that wants to control the world.
We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy.
To make it simpler for you to understand, these are military tribunal procedures, and you need to know that in war, which America is, it has mobilized 1 million National Guard soldiers in active duty. The codes of court-martial are clear. A court-martial tribunal can be declared behind a tank, behind a barn, on a highway cafe, in a city, anywhere in the world, in the battlefield, by the commanders themselves, and executed according to the court-martial articles, depending on the crime that has been committed: high treason, genocide, war crimes, and also lesser, let's say, severe infractions of the law of war.
In light of the countless sacrifices made by hundreds of thousands of American service members and our enormous progress over nearly 2 decades, we are now bringing these conflicts to their successful and responsible conclusion under the bold leadership of President Trump. Should any malign actors underestimate our resolve or attempt to undermine our efforts, we will not hesitate to restore deterrence and defeat any and all threats.
Read between the lines of Putin and President Trump. President Putin gave a football to his colleague in a very good ambiance, by the way. The press was there. And he said, "Mr. President, I give you this ball as a gift. The ball is now in your court." For those who didn't understand what that means, that was the signal to the cabal. From now on, President Trump and Commander-in-Chief and Putin, up to now and going forward, with 34 nations, are doing their job to liberate humanity from oppression.
One of the important factors of the cause is that we see how bad they've done. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period. Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know that justice is on the way, and it's beyond my control, or beyond our control. We are not in the military, and we're not supposed to know what happens tomorrow, because the four-star channels at war will certainly not make a press conference, and certainly not disclose what they're doing tomorrow.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be the calm before the storm. We have the world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Mr. President, what did you mean by calm before the storm yesterday? What did you mean by that?
Thank you very much. You'll find out. With this strategy, we are calling for a great reawakening of America. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. You and I have been in this battle side by side and together, and we've been taking on the entire corrupt system in Washington. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. When I get back into the Oval Office, we will totally obliterate the rest of the deep state. We will finish the job that we so brilliantly started. Our exciting adventures and boldest endeavors have not yet begun. My fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country,
And I say this, despite all that's happened, the best is yet to come.
I call everybody to apply the light, because we are the guardians of humanity. It's us, our spirit, and our light obliterates the darkness.
This is a crusade! This is a holy war against the deep state! In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
That's pretty powerful right there is what all I can say. Pretty powerful. Hang on. That's pretty powerful right there. Okay. I got to make sure my technology catches up to me. I mean, I know all this looks good, but anyway. Yeah. So, back to what I was talking about. Let's get to... I almost lost focus there. Trying to be goofy as hell. The U.S. Army JFK Special Warfare Center and School has come up with these short videos on the basics of disinformation. Disinformation. And so, it's good. It really is good. It's got like a QR code type of thing anyway. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to play this. I think it's very interesting. I think this teaches people how to figure out, like the political article. If you just came out from under a rock and you read that political article, you would think Trump was the devil. And it's absolutely disinformation, right? But since, you got guys like me who follow guys like, everything else, because the show's caught up. It's an echo chamber. I don't create the content. I share the content. I do create a little content, but for the most part, I share all the content. AA 955, Who's New, the Daily Meme Team, of course, Badlands Media. Let's see, And We Know, X22. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. The Funny Dude. Anyways, his show's called Lies. He's really funny, JP or something like that. Yeah, that's what I do. I try to inform people the best way that I can, and that's why it's called an echo chamber, and that's why you hear at the beginning that they would have you believe that an echo chamber is bad, but it's not. I'm not confirmation bias. I read a fucking political article tonight. It's way left-leaning. They made it sound like Trump was the problem for everything since the country has existed 200 some years ago. Trump's fault. Orange man bad. Tweets suck. I gotta get away from that dude. The hell? We the people are pissed off. So I'm going to get into this real quick, and then after that we'll play some people on the porch. He's got a new song out. Oh, sorry, guys. He's got a new song out. And as soon as I'm allowed to play it, I'm going to add it because it's a good song. I think it's out there already. You can find it in certain places, Facebook, YouTube, all those other places, Instagram. I'm sure it's there. But I got to find out if people on the porch will allow me to play this on my podcast. Because the last thing I need is somebody to censor me over a song, right? We shut him down. We put him in timeout. We did, like Alex Jones. The FBI is coming to take my show away. If the FBI came to take my laptop, my little TV, my microphone, that's it. We're done. You wouldn't see me anymore on Tuesdays and Fridays. But we see Alex every day. So, take that for what it's worth. Anyway, We're going to get into this right here. You guys enjoy. Enjoy this video.
Everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Unblurring the Truth, where we discuss ways to identify and protect ourselves against misinformation and disinformation, or for short, MisDis. I'm your host, Dr. Bobby Seidel, command psychologist here at the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School. And over the past year, I've led the development of our Misinformation Disinformation course and wanted to pass along some things I've learned to you. Whether you are an operator, support guy like me, a student in the pipeline, or a family member, we are all bombarded with misinformation and disinformation. I don't know about you, but I get sick of constantly having to spend time figuring out if something I read, watch, or listen to is trustworthy or not. We've become saturated in MisDis. So today, we're going to start with some basics about recognizing MisDis. We're going to share what it means to be better inoculated or protected against it, define what it is, identify the different types.
If you want to learn how to edit really well from professional Hollywood editors, we're going to show you the stuff that nobody else is teaching.
Look at the short-term and long-term consequences, and wrap it up by examining the environment in which it flourishes, thus showing why it is so important for us to learn how to protect ourselves and our families. We begin with inoculation. Inoculation is a psychological resistance against manipulation attempts by preemptively exposing people to a weakened version of a deceptive argument, much like a real vaccine provides resistance against a pathogen after being injected with a severely weakened version of it. If successful, this can go a long way towards building resistance against more complex MisDis platforms and shift us toward a more proactive approach in combating it. We do this by first learning more about general, or i.e. weaker, MisDis concepts, terms, and techniques, and then progress to stronger, more complex ones to not only strengthen our defenses, but to help us lead a counterattack. So with that, let's move on to some definitions. MisDis influences public opinion through persuasion and other non-coercive means. First, you have misinformation. It is false information shared without the intent to mislead. For example, mistakes such as inaccurate photo captions, incorrect dates, statistics, translations, or when satire is taken seriously. Disinformation, on the other hand, is manufactured information that is deliberately fabricated or manipulated and disseminated with the intent to cause harm. It wants to mislead you. Now, misinformation can turn into disinformation when it's shared by individuals or groups who know it's wrong, yet intentionally spread it anyway to cast doubt or stir up divisiveness. So now we have the types of MisDis. There are 7 main types of MisDis. First, there's what we call satire or parody. There's no intention to cause harm, but it has the potential to fool. Satire uses humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, while parody is the imitation of the style of a particular author, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. For example, think of The Onion or the Babylon Bee. These are 2 popular sites that use satire or parody. Next, we have misleading content. It's a heading or a whole article that was created to misinform or deceive readers and watchers. The article may invent or bend facts and details to either manipulate the truth or hide it. This is what we call propaganda, in that it promotes biased opinions and publicizes political points of view to influence an audience towards certain beliefs. Propaganda twists perception and produces an emotional response in most cases. Therefore, it's effective. Our third one is what we call imposter content, and that's when genuine sources are impersonated. For example, abc.co impersonated abc.com and actually published a lot of fake stories. So it's being mindful of where we go to get our content. Next up, we have fabricated content. The content is 100% false, and it's intentionally designed to deceive and do harm. The format can be an article, social media post, a meme, or a tweet. And this is where we see a shift to true disinformation. It's been around a long time, too. For example, on August 21st, 1835, the New York Sun published a series of articles about the discovery of life on the moon. These were falsely attributed to a well-known astronomer of the time named Sir John Herschel. The article reported that Herschel had made these discoveries using new hydro-oxygen magnifiers and went on to describe in believable scientific detail how the discovery was made. Bizarre life forms, inhabitants of the moon were described, painting a fantastical picture. After accomplishing their goal of adding many new subscribers to their newspaper that August, the paper quietly announced in September that the story had been nothing more than a hoax. Next up, we have false connection, and that's when headlines, visuals, or captions don't support the content of the article. It's what we often call clickbait. For example, here's a headline: How this one simple trick can make you a millionaire in just 3 years. This headline is a great example of using exaggeration to generate interest. By saying millionaire in just 3 years, it sounds too good to be true and intrigues the reader into wanting to find out more. Or here's another example. Are you making these deadly mistakes with your money? This headline is a great example of using fear to create interest. By saying deadly mistakes, it shocks the reader and makes them wonder what these mistakes could be. Our sixth one is what we call false content. And that's when genuine content is shared, but with false contextual information. It's the whole mostly true approach to make the message more believable, but it paints a false picture to deceive us. This can be difficult to discern and often requires more time to research and think it through. And then finally, we have manipulated content. It is imagery, such as video or pictures, that is manipulated to deceive us. It's what we call synthetic media or deepfakes. And this is quickly becoming one of the most powerful forms of misdis, and we will talk about it in more depth during another episode. All right, so moving on, let's now examine the consequences of misdis. We'll start with some short-term ones. Misdis can cause and exploit strong emotional reactions to sensational topics, causing it to spread more rapidly than legitimate news. This puts legitimate news sources at a major disadvantage. Another consequence is that misdis aggravates existing societal cracks, ideological, political, religious. It may even fuel acts of harassment and violence. It can destroy the reputation of others, and it can cause panic in financial markets and lead others to make unsound financial decisions. Now, those are just some of the short-term consequences. Here are a few long-term ones. Misdis can pose a legitimate threat to democratic societies and manipulate and further radicalize domestic audiences. It can make it more difficult for people to discern truth from fiction, fostering distrust of all online information sources and even the media in general. And absent reliable sources of information, people are more likely to succumb to decisions based on emotional appeal, short-circuiting sound critical thinking and judgment, all of which undermine trust in the media, democracy, and confidence in government institutions to respond to societal needs. Now that we examine the ramifications of misdis, let's look at the environment in which it flourishes. First is how reliant we are as a society on the internet and social media. It is woven into our daily lives. 68% of Americans get their news on social media from time to time, with 43% getting their news from Facebook. And 81% of Americans utilize the internet daily, with 28% online almost continually. Second, the sayings, if you make it trend, you make it true, or if it bleeds, it leads. Popularity trumps accuracy nowadays. The shift from getting it right to getting out first, along with the speed in which tweets and posts go viral, has especially threatened more traditional news agencies, who struggle to not fall behind or become irrelevant in the news world. Third, increasing polarization in our culture, erosion of unity and cohesion, an all-or-nothing mindset with no room for compromise or respectfully agreeing to disagree. Fourth, mobile technologies with messaging platforms that are Wi-Fi enabled has resulted in an explosion of interconnectivity. linking people from all around the world. Almost everyone has a smartphone.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Most people have no clue that in 2024, the best way to make money with Amazon is not by selling.
And social media platforms provide people the ability to create communities with others who have shared views and ideologies. This can create a bubble, which prevents freedom of thought or exposure to different points of view, which further reinforces polarization and fosters division. And then we have bots, which are computer algorithms designed to execute specific online tasks autonomously and repetitively. They even simulate human behavior in social networks, interacting with other users and sharing information and messages. These new technologies rapidly share content, including Mistis, while masking the identity of the source and sender, making it very difficult to verify and trust. Overall, the connectedness of modern society, the free availability of so many content distribution platforms, and concerning rifts in our society have greatly increased the scope, scale, and speed of Mistis campaigns. When people are anxious and looking for answers, somebody is going to provide them those answers and capitalize on it financially or politically. So, when you've got a lack of correct information, combined with an anxious, increasingly divided population with a lot at stake, Mistis is going to flourish. In closing, let's do a quick recap. By becoming better informed of what Mistis is, the various forms it can take, the environment in which it operates, and the impact it can have on us and our communities, we can begin to reduce our susceptibility. Thank you for joining me for the inaugural episode of Unblurring the Truth. My genuine hope is that our discussion today has given you a clearer understanding of what Mistis is, so that you can begin to better protect yourselves and your loved ones. If you like what you've heard, please pass along our website to your teammates and loved ones. Look at the notes of the podcast for the link to our website. It has a bunch of free resources and materials that are located there to help you out. Join me next time as we take a closer look at identifying the major red flags of Mistis platforms.
I've been muted this whole damn time. Yep. I've been muted this whole damn time. And I don't know if I can repeat everything I said. That's just the way it is. It's redneck. What I was trying to say was I wished I had knew about that type of, I wish these videos were out a long time ago when you were trying to figure out what was misinformation, disinformation, when you was reading stuff back in the day and believing it probably wasn't real. You were probably right. And so these videos from the JFK school, I can't believe. I can't believe I was muted. But it's great. And so there's 5 more videos besides this one, I think. There's 6 altogether. I'm going to play them all over time. And, yeah. Anyway, put your hand around somebody you love and tell them this stuff is not the end of the world. We live in a good time right now. We are changing the direction in the landscape of our country to go back to, the Constitution. Y'all have a good evening.
My heart, pumping all day long. Get me the morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My heart, pumping all day long. When the evening comes, please stay strong. Give me the morning when darkness falls. My heart, I found victory in the Father's love from the day we wed. And those vows to hold true. Nothing's gonna tear me down until the damn end. My heart belongs to you. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of your smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like a love, nothing like a love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, way she holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. Yeah. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of your smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like love, nothing like love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, way she holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. That's when you find out. That's when you find out what you're made of. My heart is like a lighthouse, just trying to get you home. Your soul is like an anchor, just dragging you along. Pay no mind to what I'm saying. I've been drinking all day long. I just wanna hold you while we dance to this song. We were younger when we first laid eyes. I was walking up in heaven's skies. How about you? Did you feel it too? Don't believe in love at first sight. Now you make me wanna change my mind. How about you? Oh, how about you? My heart is like a lighthouse, just trying to get you home. Your soul is like an anchor, just dragging you along. Pay no mind to what I say. I've been drinking all day long. I just wanna hold you while we dance to this song. just trying to get you home. Your soul is like an anchor, just dragging you along. Pay no mind to what I'm saying. I've been drinking all day long. I just wanna hold you while we dance to this song. I just wanna hold you, just wanna hold you while we dance to this song.